Customer comes into your store, you bill the claim, you give them whatever wheelchair, oxygen, you name it, and then you get the remittance in the mail and you see the dreaded zeros.
At first, it's disappointing. I know I did what I have to do.
How do we use denials to our advantage? It's just understanding the process. This is what we need to do. Welcome to the Offsite Team podcast, where today we dive deep into strategies that turn everyday business challenges into opportunities for growth and resilience in your respiratory, rehab, and DME business. Whether you're struggling to keep cash flow positive or finding yourself bogged down by inefficiencies, today's episode is crafted for you. April and I, we are going to explore how reducing your days sales outstanding, say that 3 times fast, we're just going to call it DSO, isn't just a financial metric. It's a window into the vital signs of your business. But here's the but. From using denials to your advantage to crucial updates about the Change Healthcare debacle and the benefits of having a billing company working for you, we've got insights that could redefine how you manage operations and look at denials. So today, we're going to look at denials, how you can actually use denials in your business to win in your business. You're like, Eric, we don't like denials. We don't like them either. But we're going to talk about denials so you can win. Because if not, it's just like ignoring, hey, there's a typhoon or a hurricane coming in our direction. We're going to talk about denials. So by discussing how identifying gaps in your processes can lead to powerful transformations and why building redundancy isn't just a safety net, it's a strategy to outpace the competition. So stay with April and I as we break down why a unified team with the support of our offsite team members isn't just beneficial, it's essential to steer your company away from the brink of failure towards dominating your local market. I might be exaggerating, but I don't think so. I really do think you can dominate your local market. So, hey, today, let's get ready for a session packed with actionable advice that could very well save your business. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss this today. So here's the thing, April, you work the back end, April. You actually train team members. Have you ever looked at the actual remittances that come to us in PDF form?
No, I have not.
It's not fun. So in the old days, so I'm going to speak to business owners, what would happen? You get claims. So whether you bill Cigna or Medicare or Medicaid, you name it. I'm dating myself because next month is now 20 years in the business. Actual envelopes come in the mail and you will open them. And then typically there's a check which says, hey, here's your money. But then there's between 1 and 40 pages of remittances that tell you what claims were paid and what claims were not paid. Now, you haven't seen them because we upload most of our remittances digitally. They transfer over directly into Brightree. So a lot of the good insurances these days, you don't even look at the remittances because they come electronically. But I'm old school enough. I remember it's like you open it up and you're like, am I going to get paid or not? And nothing is worse than customer comes into your store. You take care of the customer, you bill the claim, you give them whatever wheelchair, oxygen, you name it. And then you get the remittance in the mail and you see the dreaded zeros. And you're like, son of a gun, I just did all this work to get nothing but zeros. And it's like, why do I even work if I'm going to work and then not get paid? So now you have seen zeros. So when you see those zeros, how do you feel when you see those zeros on a claim that you've billed?
At first, it's disappointing and at the same time frustrating. Like, what went wrong? I know I did what I have to do. So why is this coming back as zero?
Well, you're much more politically correct than me because, well, part of it is I founded the business, but like disappointed. I'm like, who am I going to pound for this denied claim? Who lied to me? What happened? What went wrong? And it's very, very frustrating when those claims come back with zeros and you're like, well, what's the problem? Now, denials can mean a lot of different things. Now, where we're going today is first, what happens with denials? And some people say, well, it's just denial. It's not that big of a deal. Well, we will rebill again. You never want denials. The first thing is denials will kill your DSO. So for those that are just getting caught up, most people should know. If you don't know this, you need to know this. What is the problem with having a high DSO?
Having a high DSO means
Yeah.
that we're losing. We're
Yeah.
not getting it timely.
You're not getting it timely. So DSO is literally from the moment of dispensing whatever widget that you're
Mm-hmm.
selling, wheelchair, oxygen supplies, you name it. DSO is the number of days from dispensing to that money dropping in your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And the stats basically say you have about 90 days to get that money in your bank account. You can get it after 90 days, but the odds of receiving that money go down significantly the longer that goes out. So you want to keep that DSO as low as possible. In cash, it's great. You buy it, you take the money, you go to the bank every single night, and it should be one. But that's not realistic with insurance companies. So we need to have a good or very low DSO with billing, and because that's really the lifeblood of the business. If not, you go out of business. I don't know anyone that's going to work for us for free, except for maybe my wife, who works for us, and she's only going to do that because she loves me. But even then, I don't know if I have my kids even work for free. So we've got to collect money and bring it into our business.
Correct.
So first, as crazy as this sounds, how can we use denials to our advantage? And so let's talk. It's almost done, but I want to talk about Change Healthcare, because we've had that debacle where Change, literally the clearinghouse, just stopped processing claims. And you're like, Erik, what do you mean? How can we use Change Healthcare to our advantage? Now, one of the things is I never thought that we would have a clearinghouse shutdown. I never did. It was not on my bingo board of things that could go wrong. Government shutdown, always. Like Republicans and Democrats, they're always fighting. I always knew that could happen. I always knew different denials could happen. But clearinghouse, I did not realize that that happened. So one of the first things that we learned, the nice thing about this happened, is redundancy is basically what else can we do? Change Healthcare, as of this recording in mid-April, is still not up and running and processing claims. So what we learned is there are other ways of processing claims except through Change. So what's one of the way our offsite team is processing claims to get money into our business right now, April?
We are resubmitting it, and we use the portal in order to submit that
Tell
one.
me
The
more about the
insurance
portal.
portal.
So every individual insurance has their own insurance portal, so you can bypass the clearinghouse. So tell me how you guys go about doing that.
Well, when we confirm the orders, it will be sent to our third party billing company, and then they submit the
Which for us
claim
is Brightree.
electronically. Correct.
Yeah. And then so what we do that is we go directly to each individual portal is how we do it.
Correct.
And it's one of those things. It's not an efficient way of billing claims, but it's way better than not billing at all. You can't just say, oh, we're going to wait until Change Healthcare gets their act together, because no, everyone needs to make money. And so, yeah, we've been processing directly on insurance portals. And this is a nice thing also about having an offsite team. We're like, okay, guys, let's pivot. Just, think of it in terms of like you're driving down the highway, and I'm in Yakima, Washington. We'll drive to Seattle, but sometimes in the winter, one of the passes will close, and there's like 4 major passes over the Cascade Mountains. Well, if Snoqualmie Pass gets closed, we can go over Stevens Pass, or we can go over a different pass. There's different ways of getting to Seattle. We can even take an airplane if it really, and that's kind of what happened with Change Healthcare. They shut down, so we ended up going through different individual portals. So that's one of those things just to keep in the back of your head. That's always an option. Now, option number 2, and through the aid of both Brightree as well as our billing company, AccuServe, props to them for just doing an amazing job navigating this debacle, was we started using a different clearinghouse. They literally, okay, we need to get this set up so when we submit claims for whatever patient, instead of going through Change, it's going to go through a different clearinghouse, because we can't wait for the problem to resolve itself. It's just one of those things. Okay, let's go. Let's move and let that happen. So one of the things is, how do we use denials to our advantage? Is just understanding the process. This is what we need to do. Now, occasionally we will process, even before Change Healthcare, we would occasionally process claims on the portal, wouldn't we? And when would we do that, April?
We usually do that with other insurance that really requires to have that process in the portal. So we go directly, and then Some of them are the out-of-network insurance as well.
Yeah, and that's where it's nice. Out of network, or occasionally we'll process claims, and for some reason they just don't get paid. We don't know where they get stuck in the process, and you can always use the portal to your advantage to process the claims directly. Now, you don't want to submit the claims over and over and over again, because now you have the same claims going through. And if you ever get the same claim paid twice, that's not fun, because then you have to refund money back to the insurance. That's a pain in the rear end. But other times you want to figure out what's causing the backup, and that's where it's nice. Sometimes we'll send test claims out via different methods to see what is processing faster, don't we?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so number one, just have redundancy in your business, and that's one of the ways of using denials to your advantage. Now, the second thing, what I like about denials, this is crazy. What do I like about denials? Is it shows where there are holes in our business. I love, and what we'll do when I'm doing consulting work, I call this a friction analysis. I'll come in and look at where there's friction in a business. And now you don't want to say, hey, I'm glad there's friction. No, but you want to know where it's at so you can fix it. So give me an example of a problem that you've come across either in our business or working with other clients. You're like, okay, I noticed some friction here and let's work around it. What's a problem that you've thought of that, like, hey, we can work on this?
There were some denials where they're claiming that it's missing the modifier. So moving forward, what's the beauty on that one is that we discover that our submission process does not match the insurance. So we had to make changes, making sure every submission on this specific insurance has this RA modifier. I remember it was RA modifier. So in doing so, we can make sure that the adjustments to our procedures has been done and then streamline the future claim submission.
Absolutely. And it shows you where the holes are in our business and our client's business. So one of the things I'll look at is, do we need to actually change our processes? So next week's episode, go ahead and listen to that, is on the digital journey of each patient. Every patient that comes into your store has a digital journey. And if you know where that journey is, then you can try to say, hey, what's it going to take to get that patient through a little bit faster? So A, claims get paid, but B, also the patient's going to be a lot happier. And number two, if you can find the holes in your business, what we use is our primary computer software that our store uses is Brightree. They have something called WIPs, which stands for work in progress. And we have error areas that show when there's a problem. We call them WIP 40s. We've just kind of named it. You can name them whatever you want to, but is it an insurance coverage? Is it a data entry problem? Is it a modifier problem? You can use the WIP statuses to help find the friction points. So the goal is not so, hey, great, we have more errors, but we want to know where they are so we can lessen the error, ERROR, error resistance, so the claims process faster. You see this, the Olympics are coming up this summer, and some of the, whether it be biking or swimming, you want to reduce friction, because the less friction you have, the faster you can swim through the pool. It's the same thing with billing claims. And then you kind of figure out how long a typical claim is going to take. Some of our insurances that we have, we can get paid in 8 to 11 days, which is insane. In the old days, it was like 45 days. We're looking like that's a great time to get into our bank account. But if you can figure out where those friction points are, then you can figure out exactly where the errors are, so you can lessen that. So the advantage of errors are it shows you where there's holes in your businesses. We kind of alluded to this earlier. The second part is it builds in redundancy. So redundancy, for example, having web portals or other clearinghouses. So just in case it's that rainy day, if something goes wrong, you do have a secondary method to go around, so you don't go out of business. And third, if you can understand that 50% of the time, other businesses are having the exact same problem as you are. And so it's really fascinating. I do enough coaching and consulting that I'm shocked at the number of companies that I work with. They're like, I can't believe we're getting these denials. I'm like, hey, I go back and talk to our billing team. I'm like, are we having these denials? Yeah, we are. I'll talk to our billing company, which we use AccuServe. but there are a lot of really great billing companies out there. They're like, yeah, we're noticing these as well too. So sometimes misery loves company. And
Mm-hmm.
I say this to encourage you. It would be like going to a baseball game and saying so-and-so struck out. They're a failure. No, everyone strikes out sometimes. It's part of
Mm-hmm.
the process. So how do you feel, April, or as you coach other billers or offsite team members, how do they react to some of the denials and problems that come up?
Well, just what I mentioned, they felt frustrated, like we did everything that we can, then why
Yeah.
is this coming back?
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing about that is it teaches us to be more persistent, like to let's go ahead and sit down and see what happened, see what the denial have to say, and then work on that error. We want to know why. So we start to investigate using our critical thinking skills. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
a detective trying to find out whether was it my mistake or the insurance mistake, because other times it can be them making the mistake and reviewing the documents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as we've kind of alluded to, I don't want to say I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but all I know is there are claims that should not be denied and they come back denied. And the billing company said, or not the billing company, the insurance company says, whoops, I don't know how that happened. Can you please hit the button, please? We, this is our money. And the longer that the insurance company holds on to that money, they get to make money on that. And I see that. So here's the how. Here's how we fix denials. So we've kind of talked about a couple different ways. The how is number one is having a unified team all working in the same direction. Everyone needs to be pushed in the right direction. So all of our billers, all of our offsite team members, all of our on-site team members here in the States, we are all working in the exact same direction. And if everyone's pulling in the same direction, you can work as a team. So give me
Mhm.
an example of April, with some of our outsourced employees in the Philippines, as well as our on-site employees here in the States.
Mhm.
How do they work together, all pulling in the same direction?
Yeah, so once the order has been completed, the offsite team will whip it to our billing on-site team member. And
Mm-hmm.
then if there is a friction, even after the offsite team have checked all the documents, we do redundancy by checking it again once it gets the confirmation. So our on-site team who's working on the confirmation, if she sees any errors that has to be changed, she whips it back to the offsite team. So there's communication and collaboration in between.
Absolutely. And it allows for a much smoother process.
Mm-hmm.
The other
Correct.
way of how to navigate denials is having offsite team members to help you pull in the right direction. Why do we have employees in the Philippines? They are half. If you even talk about crazy expensive states such as Washington State, California, New
Mm-hmm.
York, the bigger states, we're more than 50% less than what U.S.-based workers would charge. So it allows you to get more done with less US dollars. And in cases like this, where we had these denials, we had to pay our team overtime to work. And here's kind of how it goes is the overtime rate for offsite team members is way less than what's
Mm-hmm.
mandated by the United States. It is. And if you're curious on how much less it is, just let me know. And I'd be more than happy to share with you the data, but it saves a lot of money. No one wants to work overtime. We shoot for all of our employees, even in the Philippines, to work 40 hours a week, but sometimes we need to amp that up. If something like massive denials or a month-end close, if something like that happens, we had that at our disposal. Versus in the United States, if you're paying someone $20 an hour, well, time and a half is $30 an hour. That's crazy expensive. And so the offsite team allows our company to stay profitable, even though we're encountering problems like this. So if we don't plan for denials and if we don't embrace them, businesses will go out of business. We were talking about, we were reminiscing 5, 6, 7 years ago. Our company picked up somewhere between 5 and 7 other companies that went out of business. Why? Well, we did it because they were not prepared for what came down the pipeline between 2015 and 2020. We were ready.
Mm-hmm.
We had redundancy plans in place. And then if not, instead of taking away other companies, they're going to pull into your market. So this is really life and death for companies if we do not plan for denials, embrace denials, and learn from them doing a friction analysis. So that's kind of where we have to learn. We are here to help you. And so if this is interesting to you, if you need help with denials, with offsite team members to really help your business learn how to process claims faster. If the whole Change Healthcare debacle just threw you for a loop, it's not too late to fix things. But do be aware, if a lot of third-party insurances, you have 3 months to submit those claims. After that, you lose your money. We've got to get that money submitted really, really quickly. But next week, we're going to dial into mapping the digital journey for your patients. And this is important because if you are lost in the forest, here I'm in the Northwest in Washington State, we have lots of forest. And if you get stuck in the middle of the forest, you have no idea where north, south, east, and west is if you don't have a map and a compass. It's the same thing with our customers and their digital journey. But in the meantime, hey, if this interests you, go to offsiteteammember.com. We would love to help your business win in the DME, respiratory, and rehab world. Hey, we are here to help. And until then, we will see you guys next week.